We are on top of developing details in the investigation and aftermath of the attempted assassination of former President Donald Trump. Thank you for joining us. I'm Gerald Owens.
And I'm Lena Tillett. New tonight, the Secret Service says they had identified the rooftop where the shooter fired towards Trump as a vulnerability days before the rally. At this time, it's unclear how or why it was then left uncovered. The FBI says the shooter, 20-year-old Thomas Crooks, also had bomb-making materials in the vehicle he drove to the rally. And as Republicans converge on Milwaukee for the RNC, the Secret Service says it does not plan to change its security plan.
We have team coverage tonight. How state lawmakers on both sides of the aisle are responding, and a look at how local law enforcement plays a role in high-profile security. Also, the latest on the security at the Republican National Convention. We begin at the White House, and within the last 2 hours, President Biden addressed the nation from the Oval Office.
He expressed support for Donald Trump and for his family, and he called on the country to, quote, lower the temperature in our politics.
I spoke with him last night. I'm grateful. He's doing well, and Jill and I keep him and his family in our prayers. A former president was shot, an American citizen killed, while simply exercising his freedom to support the candidate of his choosing. We cannot, we must not go down this road in America. We've traveled before throughout our history. Violence has never been the answer.
The president ended by calling on Americans to unite as one nation despite having differing political views. I spoke with Democratic State Representative Brandon Lofton from Mecklenburg County minutes after Biden's address to get his reaction.
I thought he immediately struck the correct tone by unequivocally stating that violence has no place in our politics, period. And he kept coming back to that point. He emphasized that we should engage each other as neighbors and not as enemies, and that we should remember that, yes, in a democracy, we have healthy disagreements, we have healthy debates, but the point is that we're able to solve those through the ballot.
Lofton also said what happened was not just an attack on a former president, but on democracy itself.
Former President Donald Trump touched down in Milwaukee earlier this evening, several hours after a bullet clipped his ear in Pennsylvania. In a statement on social media, he said he considered delaying his trip to Wisconsin for the RNC by a few days. But he said ultimately he couldn't allow a potential assassin to change his schedule. Donald Trump is not expected to speak until Thursday, which is the last day of the convention. The Republican National Convention starts tomorrow.
That shooter was identified again by the FBI as 20-year-old Thomas Crooks. Agents say he was armed with a semi-automatic rifle registered to his father. And we want to show you this map of the shooting scene in Butler, Pennsylvania. So the rally took place on the grounds of the Butler Farm Show. That's about 35 miles north of Pittsburgh. There were tens of thousands of people there. This is where the stage was set up. You see it there. And it was on the roof of the building is where the Secret Service had their snipers. They really did have a pretty good vantage point, and yet no one spotted the gunman on the roof of this building. It's about 400 feet from the stage where Trump was standing. For context, roughly 4 basketball courts placed end to end, or 1 1/3 football fields. He was very close. Today, investigators searched the home of the shooter in Bethel Park, Pennsylvania. A law enforcement official said there was explosive material found inside. The FBI also said bomb-making materials were found inside the vehicle the shooter drove to the rally. Law enforcement say the shooter's parents are cooperating with the investigation.
We are learning more about the spectator who was killed during yesterday's shooting. Corey Comprator was a father of two girls and a firefighter. Pennsylvania's governor said he was at the rally with his family when the shots rang out. He said Comprator shielded his family and died a hero. The firefighter worked with the Buffalo Township Volunteer Fire Department. In a statement on Facebook, the department said Corey will be greatly missed by all who knew him. Corey, rest easy, brother. We'll take it from here. A 57-year-old David Dutch and 74-year-old James Copenhaver are also injured. They are in critical but stable condition.
When it comes to presidential security, Secret Service is top of mind. However, local law enforcement also has a role to play in keeping presidents and candidates safe. The Wake County Sheriff's Office underwent training for high-profile visitors just a few months ago. WRAL's Carly Haynes is joining us live at the Sheriff's Office. Carly, how are they taught to prepare?
Carlina, the Wake County Sheriff's Office needs to know all perceived threats and where that high-profile person is going to be at all times. North Carolina is a swing state. It's going to be home to a lot of visitors, so that training is crucial. A November training shows Wake County deputies boxing in WRAL's Deborah Morgan, who's playing the role of a dignitary.
Proper training and experience is why we have these classes, and that way we can effectively do our job whenever these visits occur.
The course, put on by the Diplomatic Security Service, shows how local agencies should respond to threats against a high-profile visitor.
It was 4 days of close protection, keeping somebody safe, identifying and engaging threats, and getting our protectee out of the area.
And North Carolina will likely be home to several campaign events between now and Election Day.
Because the last thing you want to be is that city, county, or area that is known for an event to happen.
Nash County Sheriff Keith Stone says local agencies have to be prepared to work with Secret Service, taking on roles like escorting, maintaining security checkpoints, or securing a building.
Be on the same page of training and the same models so that these mishaps do not happen.
Recently sending some of his own to a statewide training for this very scenario. Different agencies gearing up to monitor, protect, and assist as soon as a VIP comes their way.
Until they leave our area of responsibility, we're going to keep them safe.
And the Wake County Sheriff's Office is continuously training to make sure they're prepared. They're also constantly looking for new training opportunities. Carly Haynes, WRAL News, live in Wake County.
Messages of support are pouring in from both sides of the aisle after the former president and 3 supporters were shot yesterday. North Carolina lawmakers are expressing deep concerns on the eve of the convention in Milwaukee. WRAL's Julian Grace is live at the legislative building with the story. Julian?
Well, Gerald, as you know, this comes at a critical time as we head into the last 4 months of the presidential campaign. And both the Democrats and Republicans, they are telling me tonight they want peace. Around 2 p.m. Sunday, Donald Trump posted that he was headed to the Republican National Convention. Then by late afternoon, his plane touched down in Wisconsin. And he's not making this journey alone. A slew of North Carolina Republican leaders have already made the 900-mile trip. Where do we go from here?
I think we pray about it.
Including State Senator Jim Bergen from the 12th District.
Take a look at what happened.
He's seen the footage, he's read the headlines and the updates, and he's confident things will change moving forward.
It's a real wake-up call about politics, about civility, and I think it's going to change things. You know, God uses things to change people and change our hearts. I think you're going to see a change in Donald Trump.
These calls for a more civil political season are bringing Democrats and Republicans together. This evening, over the phone, we chatted with Democrat State Rep Marsha Maury.
This rhetoric of fighting and violence has got to stop. We have to be civil. We have to engage in good discussions and debates and never resort to violence.
About 2,400 delegates from around the country will come together this week to officially nominate Trump in Milwaukee. North Carolina's Sarah Reedy Jones is one of them. And despite what happened on Saturday, she's ready to get to work on Monday.
It's scary, but I think you're going to see our delegates are more determined than ever to be there. We want to show the world that there's a sense of strength and that we can't back down.
Let's talk a little bit more about Reedy Jones. She texted me about a couple of hours ago telling me that she's been to a number of Republican national conventions before, but she's never seen security like she's currently seeing in Milwaukee right now. For now, reporting in downtown Raleigh, Julian Grace, WRAL News.
Very interesting. Yeah. Tonight, we also talked to former state Supreme Court Justice Bob Orr, the one-time Republican, now independent, called on both sides to be a better example for voters.
Supporters of Donald Trump will take their cue from him. Supporters of President Biden will take their cue from him. And so this is an opportunity for both of them to demonstrate the kind of unifying leadership that the country so desperately needs.
Orr says Republicans will have a major opportunity at the convention to strike a new tone.
Tomorrow, Lester Holt will sit down with President Biden for an exclusive one-on-one interview. You can watch a preview on NBC Nightly News tomorrow at 6:30. You can see the full unedited interview in a primetime special at 9 o'clock on WRAL.